Got a double upload for y'all on this Sunday. So AEW Grand Slam took place last night, and it was essentially a collision, but it was a TV special, and I really enjoyed it. I did. Now there was some results that I wasn't a fan of, and well, not some. This one in particular, which is the main event of the show, for Grand Slam was between great to amazing, in my opinion. You start off with Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega against Kyle Fletcher and Takeshita. I mean, Will Ospreay hit a really cool Spanish fly to Kyle early on in the match. That was a cool spot, and this was a great tag team match. Probably the best match I've seen this month. It was some great spots. Like I said, all four of these guys are really good wrestlers. They can go in ring. You had Don Callis get involved, as you knew he would. Like, it's the Don Callis family, and then the story that they were told, it makes sense that he would interfere in the match. Takeshita did this double suplex to Omega and Will Ospreay. Once again, I took notes on some of the best spots and coolest spots in the match for this one. Kenny hitting the V trigger and Takeshita kicking out at 2. I was surprised because usually they'd put people away, but not Takeshita. Then the Don Callis family, they hit the double tombstones, and it'd be funny when wrestlers do a double tag team move, and really only one of them is legal, but then the refs count like both are legal, then both guys kick out. And then Takeshita, he ended up eating a one-winged angel while also taking a hidden blade at the same time, and Kenny Omega pinned Takeshita to get the win. Then later in the show, Kenny and Will Ospreay, they cut a promo. Kenny Omega was like, he wants the international championship. He wants Takeshita at Revolution next month, which that's gonna be a fun match. It obviously probably want to set the right away on Dynamite, but they're gonna build to it, and you've already started to build with this tag team match. So people talk about AEW and how they don't like to build stories. Well, they're starting right here with this Don Callis story, so I'm enjoying that. Then Ospreay, he was like, he wants Kyle Fletcher in a steel cage. As y'all know, they're 1-1 against each other in one-on-one matches. So he's like, this last match, the trilogy, he wants it to end in a steel cage between the two, where nobody can get involved, even though if you climb on through the steel cage, that, you know what, that's neither here nor there. I digress. But moving on to the match that followed the opening match, had the TBS Championship match with Mercedes Moné and Harley Cameron. Mercedes green ring gear, that was a cool touch because it matched the vibe of what they were doing with the Australia and the theme for Grand Slam. So I liked her ring gear. And then Harley Cameron, she had a few early botches early on in the match, but she eventually picked it up, and it was just a good match from there. You had Harley Cameron, she used the puppet for reasons. She had Mercedes in the corner and she was hitting her, then she was going to use the puppet, but Mercedes reversed it. She ended up using the puppet again at some point, but it didn't really matter. Mercedes ended up stomping the puppet, and she kicked it far out the ring. I was surprised she could kick the puppet that far, because it didn't look like it could fly like that. But Mercedes, Harley hit an Australian destroyer, which I guess if it's in a different state or if it's somebody else that's doing it, it's this destroyer, whatever. It's like I've always known it's a Canadian destroyer, but when Penta does it, it's a Mexican destroyer now. Now Harley Cameron does it, it's an Australian destroyer. Like, okay, we get it. But Mercedes Moné, she ended up hitting the moneymaker. She was able to win. It was a fun match, and like I said, Harley Cameron, she really picked it up for some early botches she had in the match. She was able to recover, and it didn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Like, it was a good match. I obviously knew she wasn't going to win. I was rooting for her to win just because it'd be something different. But it was a fun match. It was very enjoyable. But this is where the problem starts. The Brism Brawl, or however you say it, with Adam Copeland and Jay White versus Claudio Castagnoli and John Moxley. The amount of interference in these Death Riders matches, I'm telling you. Like, I'm just not a fan of interference in matches, especially when it's excessive. And with the Death Rider story, the interference has been beyond excessive. Like, you had Wheeler Yuta and Marina Shafir get involved in the match. Like, we done seen Jay White hit the Blade Runner on Marina Shafir. Why can't he hit her with a kendo stick? It's not like he's physically putting his hands on her. But it's like, it's a brawl, so obviously you had the spots where they go into the crowd. You had it was Claudio and Copeland who fought into the crowd. Marina Shafir, she caused a distraction against Jay White early on. Like I said, that wasn't when she interfered, but she just caused a distraction to get so Moxley had time to recover. You had Claudio send he power bomb. Yeah, Claudio had power bomb Copeland through a table that was set up earlier. Then you had Claudio. Claudio ran into a chair and he got hit with a Blade Runner. But then that's when Willie Uta came out and started whipping Jay White, who was enjoying getting whipped. It was weird. That was a really weird spot. I don't think it should have. I don't think it should be no selling the whip. That is a lot. I do have a problem with AEW with that. It is too much no selling. But yeah, that's. But to continue on, Copeland he speared Claudio into the table that was set up on the corner. It was like the left side of the ring, if I'm not mistaken. But Moxley ended up choking out Adam Copeland to get the win. And then after the match, he kept choking him out. The Death Riders making a statement, continuing to attack Copeland and Jay White after the match was over. I mean, we already know we're getting Copeland and John Moxley at Revolution for the world title. I don't know what Jay White probably won't have a match unless you want to do him and FTR versus the Death Riders for the trios titles, which I think the Guns should feel away if that happens. But that's neither here nor there. It was a fun match, but the excessive interference, that's a problem for me. And you had more than no selling, which was kind of unnecessary. Then you had the Continental Classic. No, you had the Continental Championship match with Okada defending against Buddy Matthews. Buddy Matthews should have won this match. Okada can barely cut promos in English. He's a good wrestler, but that's all he is. He's just a good wrestler. He's just a good in-ring worker. He's not doing anything else for you. Like, he's not telling a story most of the time. No, he's a good wrestler. Let me not say good in-ring worker, because it's being a good in-ring worker, you also have to tell a story. He's not telling a story most of the time. He just flips people off and uses the B word all the time. So it's like Buddy Matthews did that too. Then he tries to leave the match early on, and Buddy Matthews like, you're not a B word, you're a wanker. And then I don't know what that means, so I'll look it up I'll look it up after this. But then that makes Okada mad or whatever. So he comes back to the ring. They put on the match was really good. It had some cool spots. Buddy Matthews kicked out of a rainmaker, which is surprising. That's when it comes to finishers being overused for mid-card titles now. This isn't your main championship. I don't think multiple finisher like that should be kicked out of. Then you had Buddy hit the stomp, and he hit the Matthews Law, but it was a kick out and him getting to the ropes. Okada getting to the ropes after those moves, they was able to save him. Even the jackhammer didn't give Buddy Matthews the win. So it's like nothing was getting Buddy Matthews the win, and nothing was getting Okada the win until the ref was backed up in the corner, and then he couldn't see anything. So Okada hit Buddy with a low blow, and then he hit the Rainmaker again, and Okada retained the Continental Championship. Don't like that ending. If Okada was gonna win, he can win straight up against Buddy Matthews, because we're acting like he's not in the tag team with Brody King and with Julia Hart and just still the Hounds of Hell. You can put on a good one-on-one match and just lose clean. Everything doesn't have to be, oh, the ref got the ref was in the way, so then this person A hit a low blow or they did something behind the ref's back. You don't have to tell that story every time. You got to change it up sometimes. Then you had the main event, and oh man, Mariah May versus Toni Storm for the Women's World Title. I mean, Toni Storm was on fire. She was dominating early. Like, it was hard for Mariah May to really get offense in. And then eventually she bit her way out of a submission, and she hit a Mayday on the outside of the ring. But obviously that's her finisher, so hitting it on the outside did nothing. Even Toni Storm used Mariah May's finisher on her, and Mariah May kicked out obviously because it's her finisher. But then Toni Storm she did 3 hip attacks and hit a Storm Zero, but that wasn't enough for the win. And I don't even think Toni Storm should have won the match, if we're being honest. But the fact that she did all that and the match continued after that, that just goes to show us that some moves are being overused. Like, that hip attack is devastating. Imagine getting, Not even gonna do that. And then Mariah May, she hit back-to-back Maydays, but that still wasn't enough to get the win. So she's hit her finisher 3 times in this match, and that's not enough for a win. But then you get a running power bomb and a Storm Zero. Mariah May kicks out of that. No, she didn't kick out. She rolled out the ring after that, so that wasn't a pinfall. And then Mariah May, she hit the Storm Zero, and went for the Mayday. But after the Storm Zero, Tony Storm no sold that, and she hit. Then she did a small package pinfall, a small package, and she won. A small package for the win. That is diabolical work. And both Tony Storm and Mariah May, they're good storytellers. They're good characters. But Tony Storm shouldn't have won this match. Mariah May, she was on a good reign. She won back in August, so she had the title for around 6 months. And she just beat Tony Storm for the title. Tony Storm should have been the last person that won the title back. I knew they were going to have the match. You had to have the match as a rematch. But Mariah May should have won. She should have beat her a second time to keep going on a more dominant run. Then she just loses to Tony Storm. That don't make sense to me. And you can't run this back again, because then it feels like you're just trading titles. And then now Tony Storm is the first ever 4-time Women's World Champion. She doesn't need that right now. She could have waited until Mercedes was the champion, then beat Mercedes at some point to get that accomplishment. But I'm not a fan of her beating Mariah May for the championship, because now where does Mariah May go from here? Does she go to the mid-card for the TBS title? Because she's not going to be in the main event scene now. She could get back to that point, but just not right now while Tony Storm is the champion. Because if you're giving it back to Tony Storm, that tells me that you're not going to revisit that rivalry. But Grand Slam was an 8.5 out of 10 for me. Like, it essentially a place where Collision would have been. Because you had NBA All-Star this weekend with the dunk contest and stuff. Shout out Mac McClung. That's off topic. Back to the main topic. So they didn't want to do that during, and then NXT obviously was on tonight, so you didn't want to run into anything, so they did it after All-Star, aired it after All-Star. Obviously they were in Australia, so it already had happened, but for people in the USA, we had just seen it. So I feel like it was a great way, like, a great job. Like, obviously Collision won't be like this every week. I'm referring, because that's essentially what it would have been, but like Collision, it won't be like this every week. And obviously not every show, like not every Raw, not every SmackDown, Impact, all that stuff, it's good every week. But this was a really good episode. It's in between the lines of great or amazing. I just disagree with Tony Storm winning the title, and it was a great match. It was a really good match. It was a great main event. It deserved a main event spot. Not taking that away, I just think Mariah May should have retained the title. I also think the finishers were overused in a lot of these matches. I will be completely honest about that. I wasn't a fan of how much finishers were used on this show. But there was some really good matches, and there was some good storytelling being told. So I'm giving Grand Slam an 8.5 out of 10. Leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. Let me know what y'all think about Grand Slam. Did y'all enjoy it? Did y'all not? Let me know in the comment section below. Peace.